You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel.
13th bit of wisdom. The manager must be seen to be fair and even-handed. Once a decision is made, it must be upheld. A manager that is seen to be indecisive, unsure, and without resolve will quickly lose the respect of the staff. For those beneath the manager will rarely care unless the decision directly affects them. So even a wrong decision will do little, if any, long-term damage to the aspiring manager. And by definition, some of the manager's decisions must turn out with time to be correct. For decisiveness inspires loyalty and gives the impression of dependability. The reality may be different, but in leadership, the perception is all. Also, those seen as strong decision makers will always be harder to remove than those who are seen as unsure or unwilling to make a commitment to anything. It'll always be harder to damage the manager who seems confident and sure of his own abilities, men being drawn to those certain of their course and resolute in their actions. And I tell you now that the one who leads will always attract followers. But those that are content to follow will never get to lead. For, as it has been said by many before me, and no doubt many to come, that fortune favours those who take the initiative, and rarely those who wait on the turn of events. So I say, do not appear to have favourites, at least not openly, and be prepared to listen to all, even if you share your thoughts with very few. For many will lie, and many will flatter, and some will even tell you the truth. The trick, of course, is to know which is which. For those reasons, it is always important that the manager chooses his deputies with great care, as these people will be seen not only as a reflection on him, but at times those who speak with the authority of the manager himself. If the choice is a poor one, the manager will be seen as flawed in his thinking. But if the deputy is capable and inspires admiration within the staff, this will be taken as a plus insofar as an indication of the manager's own ability. The manager is almost always seen in respect of those he or she surrounds himself with. Deputies and subordinates fall into one of three categories. Those who understand your ideas, those who understand them when explained, and lastly, those who will never understand them, even if explained. Those who are incapable of understanding you are also useful, because they will never rise except by yourself, but they also bring no assets. Those who cannot understand when explained will always act within the regulations as set down by you, but rarely think outside the box. And those who understand without your plans being explained may turn out to be too clever by half, in which case, make use of that, but also keep an eye on them. To do that, bind them to you, promote them, praise them, increase their duties, and put their name on the door. Leave them just enough power to keep them busy, too busy, in fact, to imagine themselves behind your desk. Listening to the opinion of others can be a dangerous thing. Yes, of course, you want your team to tell you what they think, provided that they have something to say. Gossip, backstabbing, and the internal politics of those seeking to improve their own position in the pecking order are not subjects the manager should allow himself to dwell upon. Listen to the heads of departments and consider their views with care, and then come to your own decision and stick to it. 14th point that is worth thinking about and remembering. For all the points I've mentioned this evening, there is one so far I have not spoken of. That is goodness. In a cruel world, it is often easiest to see bad in all, underhandedness in many, every act as being self-serving, and every word spoken designed to damage. But this is not so. For many will not share the manager's ambition. Many will not covet an office with a view of the high street. And many will never seek the pressure and hours that come with positions of authority. So the manager must try to reconcile the fact which he or she places highly is sometimes something that others would not wish to receive even if given. Because there are those who will act simply out of a moral sense, in that they believe something is right or wrong. Some will not act out of apathy, and some because their interests lie elsewhere. Therefore, do not give the impression of aloofness to those who are not your enemies, in case you should end up making them so. The other thing I've not previously alluded to is luck. Luck is that quality that cannot be defined, but all that experience it recognize it. The wise manager will, if honest, be the first to acknowledge that fate may play as prominent a role in one's career as ability. But that doesn't mean that those wishing to rise in the corporate world can afford to rely purely on the roll of the dice. Equally, it would be foolish to ignore it. Therefore, it is prudent to rely not on luck, but on one's own resources, talents, and abilities. The manager who takes not only his own career, but future in his own hands, relying less on fate than his own dedication to his cause, is the one best positioned to take full advantage when Lady Luck smiles down upon his plans and desires. For people will always look to the future, rarely to the past. So, learn from the mistakes of those who have gone before and make them work for you. Many will approach this difficulty of progression from alternative standpoints, but even those who follow the same career path may end up with very different results. Therefore, the road that each one of you takes must be your own, your failures and successes also your own. 15th and final point. All competition is sin. There's no excuse for it. For any competitor, no matter how small, can only rise, and subsequently your market share only fall. Therefore, you must do everything within your power to squash any new businesses that one day may be a rival to you and your company. For a challenge to your firm is a challenge to you, unless, of course, you decide to join the opposing team, stabbing those in the back who were previously your colleagues. For no business encourages competition. They can, by definition, never afford to. Only monopoly secures a future, any future, your future. The control of any product and its place on the shelf is the business. If you cannot, will not control the distribution of the product itself, the business you're employed in will have no future. Products are not sold because they are good. They are sold because they are available to be bought. Stop a rival from entering the marketplace, and his talent, ability, product will be quickly lost to history. Then bring it to the marketplace yourself and reap the rewards. All is fair in love, war, and business. So, in conclusion, the challenge you've set yourself is a difficult one, with no guarantee of triumph and many pitfalls to be overcome. For as you follow this career structure, there will be many sleepless nights, many times of stress, and much soul-searching. For it's only during the early hours, or when facing your own reflection in the mirror, or when closing the door behind you at the end of the day, that any manager discovers what they are really worth and made of. We all look back with regrets. We all wish we had done things differently, and maybe even a desire that another had made that decision. And there will be times when you will come to wonder about your choice of profession, when others leave early and appear unburdened by the responsibilities that you alone seem to carry. But these thoughts and feelings are natural for anyone that aims high. They also should never be used as an excuse for not aiming even higher. For ambition is not an ignoble thing. It is only aspiration and the desire to improve one's status in the world that has ever driven anyone to strive and progress. So I say to you all here right now, do not be afraid of what life throws in your way, for it is those obstacles that will make the person you are and will become. Also remember, the manager is the one that shall be praised for little, but blamed by everyone for everything. So you cannot court popularity, as such a title is as inconsistent as the breeze and blows in as many directions. The manager may not fear the disapproval of others, as they do not matter. As long as the business produces a profit, head office will not care, for he must always remain the voice of authority. He or she represents the firm. The manager is the personification of the company structure. Employees will come and go, but the one in charge is seen as having made a commitment to the business and has been rewarded accordingly. With position and responsibility will come the power and the pressure. Only those who will stand in your shoes will ever fully understand. Others will only ever believe that they do. They never will, so do not expect them to. It is unimportant that many who are uninformed and inexperienced will frequently blame the manager for the decisions that are made. But the wise and aspiring manager must be able to shrug off such concerns, keeping his eyes on the future, his future, dealing with the here and now while allowing himself to plan for a brighter tomorrow. For even those in the corporate structure ultimately stand alone. A company may employ hundreds, if not thousands, but all in the end must fight their own battles. When the bills come in and other responsibilities must be accounted for, loyalties will always be tested. Trust is a commodity that should only be lost once. After the first letdown, you should never place your faith in anyone but yourself. For self-belief is worth more than all the degrees any university can ever provide. Self-belief is also cheaper. Shirt, tie, manners, and the confidence to speak one's name without stumbling are the qualifications that matter. You are the only one you may rely on. Others will disappoint. Form a team around you who share the same cause, but be prepared, as and when necessary, to cut them off and move on. For leadership does not ask, but decides, and most are more content to follow than lead. As it's only after placing their faith in those who have disappointed them that many finally decide to step forward and take the initiative. It's never easy, but once started, few are ever content to return to the ranks. So, if you follow the points and lessons that I've mentioned this evening, you will find yourself armed against all of the problems that I have outlined. If you can be resolute, fair, generous and forward-thinking, underhand, self-centered, ruthless and determined, if you can say yes and yet mean no, promise promotion and then forget that promise, appear the bad man but be good, if you can always present a positive to higher management while keeping the rod to the backs of the underlings, when one can speak of the company in esteem while applying for positions elsewhere, and when one can do all that and more, then you will be a prince amongst men and a survivor. Good luck to you all.
The Manager was performed by Duncan Smith. Artwork for the production was by Sheila Jackson, and the play was written and directed by John Fryer. The Manager is an audio production for Political Art.